One of my favorite pastimes is watching gacha players defend their favorite gacha game. The most famous one I know of is the war between Genshin and Wuthering Waves, fighting to defend the title of the best gacha game in the universe. Each community pointing out what they think the flaws of the other game is and why the other side should go jump off a cliff. Now, I personally think neither game is even close to being perfect, but I also think that it's perfectly fine for games to have flaws and to play games with flaws. Even if it's the shittiest game in the world, if you are having fun playing it, nothing else matters. What I think is dumb is defending the clear flaws a game has. In my previous video, I've pointed out every single flaw I think Genshin Impact has. You know, the snooze fest that is known as the main story quest, which is nothing more than 7 hours of listening to voice lines, no real skip button, resin limits, lack of meaningful gameplay. Honestly, I can go on and on about it, and wasn't even done listing all the flaws, but decided to stop it because I respect the community and feel like they have gone through enough bashing. But then they decided to defend the flaws that I've mentioned with clear examples. So I think it's time to unhinge myself a bit. Now, I know not everyone in the community was dropped on their head as a baby, and there are logical people in the community, so this isn't really directed towards them. I said that Genshin has really boring storytelling, but people with 3 brain cells still can't grasp the concept between a good story and good storytelling. The story and the lore of the game is one thing, but the way that it is told to the player is another. Those are not the same. So what does the story being good have anything to do with the fact that the way it's told are through boring quests? Unskippable 2 to 3 hours of dialogue quests with nothing happening on the screen except for the camera rotating between 3 angles and the characters doing hand motion ABC. I'm pretty sure I'm just stating the facts. I mean, it is quite literally unskippable 2 to 3 hours of dialogue, and 90% of the scenes is just the camera rotating between 3 angles and the characters doing hand motion ABC. Even if the storytelling is good, one thing I will never understand is the fact that some people will argue against the people that want a skip button. Oh, I think it's so good that anyone else on this planet should feel the same way about it as me. And since I don't skip it because I think it is so good, everyone else shouldn't be able to skip it either. If you are that person, I genuinely feel bad for anyone in your life that has to deal with you. Like, what kind of dumpster take is that? Another brilliant take I've seen is that adding a skip button will show that the developers are not confident in their storytelling. So if they are confident in their storytelling, there shouldn't be a skip button, like this comment right here. Although it did get downvoted like 3 times. No skip button. Look, adding a skip button might sound like harmless convenience, but it fundamentally undermines Genshin Impact's core design. This isn't just a game with a story. It is a story-driven game. Dialogue, character development, world building, and even gameplay pacing are built around a form of narrative progression. When you introduce a skip button, you don't just give players freedom. You do devalue the story as a pillar of the experience. It becomes optional and disposable, and players will skip, not because they hate story, but because when presented with a faster path to rewards, most will take it. Even if it costs them long-term engagement, they will unknowingly strip away their own sense of discovery and immersion. Later, they will complain the game feels empty, without realizing they bypassed the parts meant to give it meaning. It is the same issue with ideas like auto-collect materials, plans, or auto-battle. Once you add them, you shift the player mindset from engagement to optimization. And of course, design follows. Future content gets shallower because it is made with the assumption that players won't pay attention. A skip button creates a feedback loop that slowly hollows out the game's identity. If the story feels too slow or bloated, the answer is not to skip it. The answer is for writers to tighten the pacing and improve the quality. That preserves the integrity of the game while still respecting the player's time. I am actually disappointed that there's a genuine human being behind a monitor screen typing that. I think if someone is truly confident in their storytelling, even if the story button exists, they wouldn't use it because the storytelling is really good. But even then, there will be people that disregard the story regardless of how good it is. So the existence of a skip button from a logical standpoint has no downsides. It's an optional feature. I don't know why people are so obsessed with whether other people skip the story or not. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, if you like the story, by all means, don't skip. Why does other people have to be held hostage to go through this coma-inducing story? But let's put our feelings aside for a second and talk about it from a gameplay point of view. Imagine not having a skip button and your game crashes during a 10-minute dialogue, and I have to re-experience those 10 minutes all over again because it's such a great and wonderful experience. The only logical explanation to why the skip button doesn't exist is because of people that pull characters based on voice and personality, which is also why character quests exists. A person might initially do the quest for the premium primogens, but since they can't realistically skip the quests, they are essentially forced to listen to the character talk and might change their opinion of the character and pull for them. The entire point of the main story and character quests is to convince players that didn't want to pull for a character to pull for the character. If they were to add a skip button, then they would lose out revenue on that portion of the player base. By the way, I've never understood the entire liking a character for their personality thing. Like, am I going on a Tinder date with my character? Why does their personality matter? People always say they love playing Genshin, they love the lore, the story, the voice acting, the music. That's great and all, but I have one question. When are you playing the game? You read the lore and the story, you listen to the voice acting and the music. You can literally do all of that on YouTube. I honestly feel like some people just like the concept of Genshin Impact, but their brain is too small to comprehend the difference between liking the concept of a game and liking to play the actual game. I've brought up the fact that Genshin Impact's dialogue choices means absolutely nothing because it doesn't change the direction of the story. Therefore, it might as well not exist. But then someone said this: while books allow for deep dives into inner thoughts and detailed descriptions, and movies excel at visual and auditory immersion, games bring interactivity to the forefront. You're not just passively receiving the story, you are actively shaping it through your choices and actions. This can create a much stronger sense of agency and investment into the narrative and its characters. First of all, what kind of ChatGPT response is that? Second of all, what exactly are you interacting with? Clicking on a dialogue option with no meaning other than an "are you still there" check? How smooth is your brain that you can't tell that clicking on a dialogue option in Genshin is quite literally the same as flipping a page of a book? The only thing it does is advance the pre-written story with zero player agency. I think if you're playing the game for the story, you can literally just watch someone else play it on YouTube because everyone's experience with the story is the exact same because there's no branching in the story. Player choices does not matter. It's just a straight line with one ending. Someone said the gacha part of a gacha game holds a lot of weight and that no one really goes into a gacha game expecting anything else other than what it is, and I do agree with that, but like I've always said, just because it's expected doesn't mean it's not shit. You shouldn't hide literally every bad game design behind the sentence, "What do you expect? It's a gacha game." Honestly, I feel like the only department at Hoyoverse that's not fucking up the game is the art department. I've said it once and I'll keep saying it. As long as you're having fun with a game, nothing else matters. But don't cover shit up with sugar and pretend it tastes good. Now, the most popular suggestion when I say all of this is, why don't you play an actual good gacha, Wuthering Waves? And my answer to that is, why the fuck would I do that? It's the same game. People act like I'm speaking a language they've never heard of when I say that. What do you mean they are the same game? Wuthering Waves is clearly better. You have infinite stamina and you can fly way better than Genshin. And take a look at this. Imagine saying this is a bad game. Okay, and then what? Why didn't you just show me Devil May Cry at home gameplay? First of all, saying infinite stamina and being able to fly is better is just preference in exploration. Think of hiking up a mountain versus driving up a mountain. Two separate experiences preferred by different people. If someone has a car and can choose to drive up a mountain, does that mean they don't enjoy hiking up mountains? You can't fly in Elden Ring. Does that mean Elden Ring is a worse game than Wuthering Waves? Second of all, why do you just show me gameplay footage of the game and said, imagine this is a bad game? It's 2025. Why do you act like this is impressive looking given our current technology? You think I might be exaggerating, but these are genuine things that people have said. For some reason, Wuthering Waves players seem like they've just discovered video games or something. Like, what the fuck is going on over there? Games that have these kinds of animations and gameplay are a dime in a dozen. It's basically just a normal looking hack and slash game if you ignore the anime aesthetics. And it's not just Wuthering Waves. There are a lot of games out there that are insanely similar to each other, which is why how the game looks and how the combat looks means less and less to me, which is why I've said that these are basically the same game. And whichever one you play really boils down to personal preference and nothing else. I mean, think about it. Other than the combo-ish DMC style gameplay, infinite stamina while roaming and flying, you have the same chests that gives absolutely nothing and contain the same exact non-meaningful content. You farm for artifacts, but instead of spending resin on obtaining the artifacts, you are spending resin to upgrade the artifacts. Spiral Abyss in both games, Spiral Abyss but with extra steps in both games. This applies to other gacha games like ZZZ and Honkai Star Rail. The gameplay is different, but the systems in each game are essentially the same. Each game looks different, but their personality is the same. But itspaikon, Wuthering Waves is a better game because they give us more pulls and more rewards. No, Timmy, Wuthering Waves is a better casino because it enables your gambling addiction more. I genuinely can't tell if some of you guys are here to play a game or just to gamble sometimes. I think these two games could have been genuine good games, but the moment the word gacha is attached attached to them, everything in the game basically turns into a psychological warfare between the game and the player. Everything is all about just getting the player to spend money. Whether something is good or fun goes right out the window. Nothing else matters as long as the players spend money. Profit is the #1 priority for a gacha game company, and nothing else even comes close to it. So when people on social media ask for more male characters, I get confused. Do you know what the gender demographic for gacha games look like? I'm not an expert, but it probably looks something like this. I'm surprised that there's even a single playable male in the game. Now be honest, if you were a for-profit game company, will you create a product for the majority of your target audience or the minority? You see, Love and Deep Space over there has the right idea. Not a single female banner character in sight. But what confuses me even more is when people say that gacha games are not Gooner games. I've already said this is the demographic for gacha games. What do you think this guy is doing there? Appreciating the accuracy of the cosplay? No, the camera's probably zoomed into all the places he wanted to zoom into. But you know what? Gooning does not discriminate. There's a reason why these characters in Love and Deep Space are designed without a shirt. People lost their shit when other people said that Love and Deep Space is a Gooner game when they added a period tracker to the game, and I honestly disagree. Adding a period tracker doesn't make it a Gooner game. It was already a Gooner game to begin with. But there's no shame in playing a Gooner game. We all have fantasies. Mine are big, thick, long swords, especially if they dual wield it. With all of that being said, I think everyone is entitled to their opinions, and there are no wrong opinions. Until I saw this. Exactly how delusional do you even have to be for thoughts like this to enter your head? And it's not just one person. I've said that Elden Ring, Sekiro, Witcher 3, Terraria, and Minecraft may not be the best games on the entire planet, but each excels in their own categories such as storytelling, combat, and replayability. And someone actually typed out that they think Genshin is better than Minecraft because there's nothing to do in the game other than talk with your friends. What? What? In a game where you can literally do anything and what you are unable to do is made possible with mods. You cannot find anything to do. I mean, this isn't even about the game anymore, but more about you as a person. I don't know, maybe don't watch Brain Rot 24/7 and actually learn to have some creativity.